walking with us. And I would definitely love to field any questions if anybody has any. And I think we've just decided this, and we're doing one for Dallas as well. It's going to be, low key and try to be as intimate as possible by letting you folks ask us questions and not trying to be too heavy on a program or anything. I think, we wanted to kind of let you folks kind of help drive the flow of the evening a little bit. So I'm going to pause on that and see if there's any questions. Great question. So I'm going to go back to Timothy. At the point of Timothy's death, Timothy had 3 paper routes and worked on a farm, as many of you know. So he had 4 jobs. Obviously, mom and dad being post-depression babies in 1934, stripping pine poles at 5 years old for a cent a foot or whatever it was that mom got. The idea of a work ethic is something that has been drilled into our family, and definitely something that, as crazy as it was weeding a garden and or picking bushels of beans as a kid on Long Island, when mom would take us out, I definitely learned to embrace and enjoy hard work. And it is something that, to be honest, it's fun for me. It's in some ways hard. There's great satisfaction in that. And I think that we have always on Long Island at the ranch always had a workforce development component for young people, getting some work readiness skills. And over the years, we've begun to formalize that a little bit more. So first and foremost, most of these young people are really good with their thumbs when it comes to texting or doing anything with technology, but picking up a shovel and shoveling some horse poop or baling some hay or weeding a garden is something that is often foreign to them. So what I say to our staff is, if the idea of teaching someone how to fish, from the sense of just teaching them how to embrace the grind and how to develop work ethic, is one of the greatest things you can give these young people, because it's going to allow them to learn how to fish for the rest of their lives. So where they do that, how they do that, whether or not they step into the hospitality industry or not, in some ways is irrelevant to me. I just want to help them understand, how to work, number one. But with the hospitality industry, and one of the things that we realized several years ago was, in any of you who've been to the home of Jerry and Fern, know that they are gifted naturally in hospitality. And as we began talking about expanding into Tennessee, and we already had the property in Massachusetts years ago, we recognized that was something that we probably needed to do a better job harnessing, because it was already embedded into the fabric of our organization. We are in many ways a very hospitable, hospitality-centered organization because of Jerry and Fern and who they are. And we felt like, and I myself am not gifted in that hospitality naturally, but I recognize it's one of the greatest weapons within Christianity that we can, when we look at Acts chapter 2, what was happening as they were God was adding to the church that during that time there was a great deal of hospitality going on as they were eating in each other's homes and breaking bread and enjoying and having things in common and doing it with a glad and sincere heart. So I think that idea that we have the opportunity to really love people in an intentional way through hospitality is something that we wanted to embrace more. So as we looked at Massachusetts and beginning to step into Tennessee, we said, this is something we should do in a more formal way, because in some ways it allows us to cast a much broader net. We're able to take care of 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 people at the Tennessee property, 2,000 or 3,000 people at the Massachusetts property, and having the opportunity to do that on an annual basis gives us an opportunity to plant a whole lot of seeds. And then the cool part is as we're teaching young people anything from carpentry to landscaping to culinary to housekeeping to customer service, getting the opportunity to see these young people servicing people where there's an actual operating business, and then hearing, you did a good job, I'm proud of you, what a wonderful young man you are, what good manners you have. Those reinforcers, as they are now in the service to others, there's something special that happens, I find, when these young people are when any of us are serving others, we're stepping outside of ourselves in our own little selfish world and our own issues and our hang-ups and whatever that we feel bad about, or sometimes want to kind of, be a little bit of the victim of what we don't like about life. And as soon as we're in a place of service to others, all of a sudden, we're not thinking about those things. And they start feeling better about themselves because they're in a place of service to others. And so, and one of the cool things I found with the retreats is when we have people that are going to the mountains or going to the lake to try to get away, to try to be still, to do exactly what Jesus did in terms of finding a place of rest and bringing some balance in his life, and that's necessary. When we have these, and I'm just going to use this is not what I refer to my guys as or the young ladies as, but when we have these street kids metaphorically doing the foot washing at a retreat, it actually throws a real curveball at the Christians who are there trying to rest and retreat, and they think that they're going to do something by even quote unquote supporting this ministry by doing it in this location. And it's kind of like a left hook that I think God throws at them because they don't know what to do with that. So there's really just this beautiful canvas that gets painted on, I think, at the retreat centers that's unique, particularly now in Tennessee, where it's licensed to have young people living there and serving, because they're getting the opportunity to just serve others who are trying to be there to rest and to find, again, some balance in their lives. And so it just gives us an opportunity as a ministry to meet needs at multiple levels. But to shorten the long-winded answer that you've asked me a question about, our goal is to just get them job ready and to give them some skills on our site so that they can be prepared for whatever that next job is. In our program does job placement. We really try not to send them out so that they're actually looking for jobs. We actually partner with employers and try to identify people in different industries in the area. So for instance, we have a large construction company that employs about 150 people 15 miles from our Tennessee site. He's already pretty much said, I've got a space for just about any of your guys that want to work for us. And they're actually ACU grads. That's the Stites family, if any of you know the Stites, out in Cookville. But they're very much involved in our program and what we're doing. And so, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of neat layers to it, and it's sometimes hard to explain that in a website or a brochure, but there's a lot of cool things that are happening through the programs.
Thaddeus, I think her question was, when they're not visitors there, though, what are the boys given to do? They're still working. They still have landscaping. They still have boat repairs. They still have auto repairs and other things that they can still be working on even when there are no guests around.
Sure. Well, both of our retreat sites are year-round facilities. So there's the opportunity for guests, and usually there's still something going on year-round. It may be a little bit slower during one time or the other, but when you're dealing with 100 acres in Massachusetts, 140 acres and 20 some odd buildings in Tennessee, there's not a lot of downtime. So there's always going to be something. It just may be the priority shifts a little bit. So when it is a non-peak season, we're shooting indoors and doing a little bit more of the renovations of buildings and things on the inside. And obviously as the weather warms up, we're outside landscaping and doing outside stuff a little bit more. But the young people have got plenty to do. But even, I mean, Tennessee property will have bookings it's obviously very weekend centric because a lot of it is weekend retreats and weekend people getting away for the weekend. But they will, the Tennessee property, particularly at this point, I mean, there's bookings in January, February. We're booking out sometimes a year in advance now with certain things. So it's definitely, we're 6 miles off of I-40, an hour east of Nashville. There's a place that's in Baxter, Tennessee, that's being 1 million square foot tile plant that's going to be right off the interstate. And so there's some really neat things. So strategically where we're located in that place in Nashville, it is a very, very busy, of course, Nashville grows by about 100 families per week at this point in time. So it is really interesting to we're kind of in a really big growth spot. So there's definitely not a shortage of things to do there.
And I like to think about on the job skills for the young people that are living there. We have here in New York, we teach money management and life skills and So there's some classroom type of approach as well, because we're wanting them to know what they're doing, not just to get out there and learn the work ethic, but we want them to be wise in their decisions. And we certainly want them to have a spiritual component in their lives so that they're going to grow physically and mentally and spiritually and socially at the same time. And we hope to plug them into some churches that might be a support system, because a lot of these young people we work with come from families that are broken and they don't have a support system. So that's one of the things that they need. And hopefully plug them into some companies that will be a source of kind of a support, at least at the beginning, to help them get off to a good start and support themselves and become responsible young adults who have a job, have a place to live, have a community of faith around them, and hopefully they'll want to get married and have babies.
Yeah, the program's called Work Sharp, our transitional program, and in Proverbs 27:17 is the root of that, kind of the message behind that. As iron sharpens iron, so does one man sharpen another. And what we're taking young people that are landing in our lap for a year to 18 months, and a sharpening process. And God has obviously designed them with the same spiritual DNA that He put in all of us, and they've just not had the same environment and the community around them. And so taking them through a process, sharpening them mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. They're getting poured into on all different sides. As Dad mentioned, we have a financial literacy class that's about 4 to 6 weeks that they all go through, and will in Tennessee and Arkansas as well. We have, just all different, a lot of different things that they're getting taught when they're on campus with our carpenters and our tradesmen and people who have different niche areas of expertise where they can learn more than just the average, basic. We had a group of guys from New York that was up in Massachusetts this last week. We had a horse corral, pretty large, that needed to get redone up there. That'd been there for about 6 years. And, they went up and constructed that. We've had building projects that we have a general contractor on site, and we'll ask them, can we, have our guys come and help do some finish work when it comes to decking and hanging doors and windows and things of that nature, so they can work underneath the GC with our staff, but also having the opportunity to kind of learn some of those, some of those skills that would make them much more marketable as an 18, 19, 20-year-old. If they can say on their resume they've had 3 or 6 months working on that type of project, just allows them to get more than that just entry level or that, bare minimum, minimum wage type job. And that's kind of our goal for them, because a lot of them, they have to kind of sort of figure it out on their own as they go, because they don't have the family support system. And I think in America right now, the average age of a young person being financially independent from their parents is around 28. And, so, when you're 18, 19, 20, and you don't have a support around you, you got to figure things out pretty quick. So that's part of what you folks are supporting. And, hopefully we're loving them in an intentional way in the process, and, really believe that vision for us, transforming lives through Christ's love, is what we're aspiring to do every day. And there's days that we probably do it better than others, and some days that we trip up on ourselves a little bit, but we know that agape, when demonstrated, it has a transformative effect. And so we want to keep doing that as much as possible, even when these kids cuss at us and they get upset, but a lot of them are just hurting because of what's happened in their past, and doing our best to try to come back the next day and keep smiling at them, keep loving them, keep respecting them, and keep teaching them. And one of my favorite quotes is from Winston Churchill, who says, "Continuous effort, not strength or intelligence, is the key to unlocking our potential." And I think when it comes to working with young people that keep showing up every single day, day after day after day, for a year and a half, and they realize that you're the real deal, because you keep showing up even in their ugly moments. And I think that counts for a whole lot with these young people.